Mike, what aspect of your team's game is most important to upgrade for next season, and how do you go about doing that?
Well, it's probably a tough question to answer, Dave, just coming off the last game being last night, not having an opportunity to go through a certain due diligence process. I think what I can tell you is that I think as a group, there are certain aspects of our game that we can improve upon to give ourselves a better chance to be successful. Our ability to manage games and control momentum is a critical aspect. For example, playing with leads and understanding the risk-reward relationship in those scenarios and being harder to play against. I think that's an important element of winning. Obviously our power play was an area where that was a challenge for us this year. That's, I think, an obvious opportunity for growth. But those are just some things that I think I've had discussions with our coaching staff here for quite a little while now on how we can be proactive in trying to help those areas to give us a better chance to win.
Mike, I know you're asked about Sid quite a bit, and it's probably difficult at this point to come up with something different to say about him, but just how would you put into words what he was able to do this season for you guys?
I just think he's remarkable, to continue to play at the elite level that he plays at year in and year out, for the longevity that he's been able to do it, is remarkable. And this year is just more evidence of that. He had a tremendous year in every aspect of his game. His offensive numbers speak for itself. I always tell you guys that his defensive capability, flies under the radar. But he just means so much to this team in so many ways, both on the ice through his performance, but also off the ice and his leadership, and the standard that he creates for the group. And so what he continues to do in this league is remarkable.
Justin?
Mike, throughout the course of the year, overtime periods proved something that seemed to be consistently troublesome for you guys. Just what were the biggest challenges in your eyes just of those 3-on-3 periods, and how can you guys improve upon that aspect of your game moving forward?
So it's a good question, and my answer to you is we didn't do as good a job as we're capable of with the possession game, and that's an essential element of overtime. And there's a lot that goes into that. We've got to be more selective on when we choose to attack. It starts with our shot selection, because usually when you watch overtimes, if a shot on goal takes place, it can set off a domino effect of events after that, because there's not a lot of players on the ice. So I didn't think we were as diligent with our possession game and using line changes to out-change teams and have the ability to take advantage of a fatigued group on the ice. And that's a strategy that we've talked about a lot with our guys, starting from training camp. And that was an area where I don't think we took advantage like we could have. And so on the defensive side, it boils down to man on man. It's hard not to do anything else. And so you got to defend hard when you're on the ice. But the possession game, I think, is such a critical element of it, because it sets up a lot of what takes place, and that's an important strategy that we've got to get better at.
Jeff on the left?
Mike, did Nets play down the stretch
make you think differently about your goaltending situation going forward, and what's your interest in re-signing him?
I thought Ned played terrific down the stretch. That was one of the reasons why we chose to put him in goal. That doesn't diminish our belief in Tristan at all. When you look at the body of work that those two guys had throughout the course of the season for a significant amount of the season, their numbers were very respectable. And they gave us a chance to win on a lot of nights, both Tristan and Ned. You know, we chose to go with what we deemed the hot hand down the stretch. That's not a slight on Tristan by any stretch. We believe that Tristan is a solid NHL goalie, and it's a credit to Ned, you know, that he worked extremely hard and had him, you know, and put the work in to be prepared for the opportunity when it came calling. But we believe we have a tandem that's very capable.
Like, how closely will we be watching Wilkes in their postseason run, and could any of those names be impactful players at the NHL roster as soon as opening night next year?
Yeah, of course we'll watch it close, and there are a handful of guys down there that potentially could challenge for a roster spot. You know, some of them you just saw, you know, that have come up and you know, and participated at this level. You know, it's everybody from, you know, Ryan Shea, Jack St. Ivany, Sam Poulin, John Gruden, Radim Zohorna, trying to think who else. I mean, there was a number of them that got NHL time and an opportunity to play, and these guys have helped Wilkes-Barre have a successful season down there. So it's great they've got an opportunity to play in a high-stakes environment, in a playoff environment. I think that's an invaluable growth opportunity for young players, and we'll watch and see how they do.
Shelley?
That was the majority of my question, so I'll ask a different one. Do you know, and this might be something more for Kyle tomorrow, but what you had some guys, a significant number of guys, significant names who played all 82 games. You didn't seem, other than maybe Jake and a couple of guys, you weren't really set back by a whole lot of surgeries and long-term injuries. Was there more that you guys were dealing with than we knew about? I mean, were there more bumps and bruises, or was this a really good year for the most part for you guys, health-wise?
Yeah, no, there's, you know, every NHL team, it's a hard league, and every team deals with bumps and bruises. That's just the nature of the game. So we're no different in that regard. But you know, I think our medical team and our strength and conditioning group did a terrific job as far as keeping these guys prepared and you know, doing the types of recovery modalities and treating these guys on a daily basis to keep them ready. That's part of it. Those guys deserve a lot of credit. And then the players themselves for putting the work in, and a big aspect of that is conditioning. And you know, one of the reasons why fitness level is so important, first and foremost, is durability. And it's an important aspect of playing in this league with the grind of the schedule and the demands that it puts on your body. And the players themselves deserve a lot of credit for how hard they work to keep their fitness level where it's at, so that they have the ability to withstand some of the challenges that this league presents.
3 more, Shelby?
Mike, what do you think these last 3 weeks showed about the character of your group, and what's your confidence in them to establish maybe that intensity a little bit earlier in the season next year?
Well, I've said on a couple of occasions here the last couple of days that we're proud of the group for the performance down the stretch. You know, you look at the circumstance that we were in a month ago, it wasn't a favorable circumstance, and I believe that the players had a conscious choice to make, and there were a lot of excuses out there for going in a different direction, and they chose not to. And I think that speaks volumes for the character of the people in the room, the leadership that we have, the professionalism of the group. and their care factor. And we couldn't be more proud of the effort and the investment that they all put in to drag ourselves back into the fight. And for me, that's encouraging. You know, the disappointing aspect is we put ourselves in that position that we were in a month ago. And if there's any silver lining in it is, there was a semblance, you know, over the last month of the season that, that gives us a lot of hope that this group is very capable. And quite honestly, I thought we showed that through the course of the season as well. You know, I think consistency was something that we struggled with, that our expectation is higher in that regard from just a consistency standpoint, and putting a certain game on the ice night in and night out that gives us a chance to win. I think there was volatility in our game that we'd like to believe we're better than, and so that's one aspect of an opportunity for growth. But I can't say enough about the character of the people in our dressing room and the leadership that we have.
Last one, Justin.
Mike, Letang told us a bit ago that he had been navigating through some injury-related stuff as it pertains to some of those late-season maintenance days that he had taken. Would you be able to offer any more context just into what he was dealing with? And he also talked about chatting with the medical team here about surgery at some point this summer. Again, to whatever degree you can speak, is that going to be something on the table for him?
So I can't speak to that. That would probably be a better question for Kyle. What I will tell you is Tanger was dealing with a myriad of injuries for a long time. And he's a warrior. There's no other way to put it. You know, some of the things that he was dealing with down the stretch and continuing to play through to try to help us get to where we want to go. And that was a big reason why he wasn't practicing. That I'll offer you. The rest of the question, I think, is a better question for Kyle. He's in a better position, I think, to answer that.
Thanks, Coach.